Welcome to Complex Kids, Simple Solutions, the podcast where we cut through the chaos of raising a neurodivergent and a complex kid with a practical, no-nonsense strategy. I'm Michelle Shoaidi, speaker, advocate, and a mom of a complex kid myself. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, unheard, or just plain exhausted on this journey, you are not alone. Here we tackle the real struggles head on, share actionable insights, and remind you that small wins matter. Let's dive in and make life just a little bit easier, one episode at a time. You are your child's hero. Today, we're so excited to have Jenna Rowe on the podcast. Jenna is a board-certified music therapist with music therapy degree from the University of Kansas. Has clinical experience with intellectual and developmental disabilities, neurodevelopmental disorders, cerebral palsy, Broca's aphasia, apraxia of speech, behavioral disorders, traumatic brain injuries, hospice care, and her experience provides adapted music lessons for voice, piano, guitar, ukulele, and percussion. She's also trained in Nordhoff Robbins music therapy. Hi, Jenna. Welcome to Complex Kids, Simple Solutions. I am so excited to have Jenna here. And Jenna is actually Drake's music therapist. And I had no idea what this was all about. So I decided that you guys could learn something from Jenna. So Jenna's here today. Welcome, Jenna. How are you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Okay, so tell us a little bit about music therapy and how you got involved with music therapy. And this is the interesting thing is that she is in a group with speech therapists. So I would love to hear how you kind of got involved into speech therapy, music therapy. Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So when I first went to college and had no idea what I wanted to study, I had no idea what music therapy even was. I knew I wanted to do something with psychology. I wanted to help people. And then I actually was sitting in a class in college and I was like kind of thinking back to okay, what do I do? And I remembered there was a time in high school that my high school Spanish class took a mission trip to New York, and we went to orphanages and different group homes. And we went to one specific group home with older women with developmental disabilities. And so I went over to one woman and we played egg shakers together, and I was singing to her. And the workers told me that that was the first time she had laughed in years. And it just stuck with me. And so I was looking up how music can be used to help people. And I found out about a music therapy degree. So it's 4 years and then 1,200 clinical hours in different settings, populations. And then after that, you take a board examination. And then after that, you're good to go, start working. And I just fell in love with it, how music works with the brain. It's just so interesting to me. And honestly, I happened upon working with speech therapists. I had never worked with a speech therapist before. And I feel like I've learned so much from them. And so it's been really, really awesome to be at a speech therapy clinic, learning from them.
Yeah. Jenna, so music, when I think of music, right, like for anybody in this world that can hear, and even those who can't, they still are able to get the rhythm sometimes through, feelings. But music just, it's either going to bring you happiness, you're going to think of something sometimes music brings back my memories from when I was 16 years old when I was, 10 years old and I was just, there was that cute boy or there was this cute girl or whatever. Music just, it's all about the memories. And I truly believe that music brings people's energy to a different level. And I love your story about this lady that you helped bring that out of her. So you found this speech therapy and you are working with kids right now, and most of the kids have some kind of speech disorder. So how did you get into that? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I honestly, I hadn't worked with kids that much before. I mostly had worked with adults. So when I first came here, kids was a whole different ballgame. And I absolutely love it. Can I start that part over? I got frazzled.
No, that's okay. Okay.
Just okay, reset. Can you say the question again?
Yes. So how did you end up getting involved with speech therapy in a pediatric setting with kids? And these are kids that have speech disorders. And how do you get involved with that? How did you get into that?
So music and children, there's just been so many studies of how music just lights up the entire brain. So we have the left side of our brain that works with language processing, analytical thinking, basic tasks. And then the right side is more of the creativity, motor, and music is lighting up the entire brain. So in children, music is naturally repetitive. So you think of Old MacDonald and how many times it says E-I-E-I-O. Just seeing how it can help these kids hear, and especially collaborating with speech therapists. Like I said before, I've learned so much from them also on the speech side. So being able to see the kids' speech goals and then use music to work on those non-musical skills. And that's pretty much the whole point of music therapy. We're not necessarily focusing on the music skills, but using music to work on those non-music skills to help in just daily life.
You know, I have to say my son he goes to Jenna. And that's kind of how we got connected, and that's why I have Jenna here. And he absolutely loves going to music. And he comes out and he has one of the cutest things that Jenna ever did was they actually worked together with speech therapists, and they came up with little stories for Drake, behavior stories, things that he needed to learn, and using certain words that he needed to learn that he was practicing in speech. And then they put a music to it. They put a tune to it. And then there's a music that's attached to the story that includes the speech part of this. So it is incredible, the work that these girls do. It's just amazing. So I'm going to ask you just a couple of questions here because I think that this will be interesting for the moms that are listening to this. So I think you kind of went into this a little bit, but if you can go into it a little bit more, but how is music therapy different than music class or music lessons?
So music lessons and music classes most of the time focus on those musical skills. You're still working on so many amazing things. Like if you're playing piano, you're working on fine motor skills, finger dexterity. And if you're in a group music class, you're working on collaboration, social skills. There's so many great things happening, which I love and fully promote that as well. But music therapy is very individualized, client-based, meeting your kid exactly where they're at and constantly assessing. So the treatment plan is for your child, working with parents directly, other therapists. And I think parents are the number one advocate for their children. Like you see so much more that we don't see, especially when we're seeing kids for maybe an hour, 2 hours a week. We only see a tiny little portion. So it's just very individualized and constantly assessing and helping and trying to promote those daily living skills. I really, it's the way that they use this for the children. It's just, it blows my mind, right? Now, how can music therapy really help my child? I have a complex kid is what I call them. So, he still has a speech disorder. He's going to turn 11 next month.
not next week, but next month. And he still has a speech disorder. So, but for the kiddos that are out there that have these speech disorders, that have these other issues, like how does music therapy help them?
So for speech disorders, there's so many things within singing too. Just singing and working on those fine motor skills within the mouth helps with articulation, and then just expressive language overall. One thing that I like to do here is, instead of just focusing on like, very basic like children's songs, like I don't want to sing Old MacDonald the entire session. I want to give them songs that can actually help with that expressive language and articulation. So for example, if a child is having difficulty expressing wants or needs, we have an entire song with phrases of focusing on like, I want this, not that one, I need help. And we put that to music to really focus on those phrases and sentences that they can use in daily life.
Mm-hmm. Drake usually, he'll come and he'll sing some songs, and I'm like, I don't know what you're singing, but I'm sure that you guys are doing something. But the other part of this too, Jenna, that I love is that you don't just do songs that are going to be just for that, but you also get the songs that they like, things that they are interested in. Like my son loves Maroon 5. And so I know that you guys have worked with Maroon 5 before. And he's very particular on his music.
He likes Maroon 5.
And I see that you bring that into it. And this is the interesting thing about Drake. He does not have the words. Sometimes he stumbles but he loves to sing. And even when it doesn't make sense what he's singing, he sings out loud, and he'll get that first aha or whatever it is. He'll get whatever he can, and everything else he just kind of blah, 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 but he sings. He loves to sing, and he doesn't get he's not shy about it. And so I think that giving them this also gives them that courage to go out there and sing.
Yeah, and right? It's increasing confidence. And I like that music therapy is very client-centered. So I'm not just picking a random song that they've never heard before. I think it's great to introduce, new songs, new genres, but keeping it within their favorites and their likes. And I had another client way back in the day that had gone through a stroke after a car accident, and she forgot all nouns, just nouns. And so we took her favorite songs, which were Johnny Cash, and we changed all of the lyrics up to help her come up with grocery list ideas. And she would go to the store and sing the song, and she would get all her groceries. So we did that with phone numbers, family members' names. There's just so many cool things that can come out of it.
Rio yesterday, we were in the car, and Rio's my daughter, and she does not have a speech disorder, but I just could not believe how this girl knew every single word of a song. It is so much easier to remember songs, to remember words of a song, than it is to memorize, 2 paragraphs. If you put those 2 paragraphs into music, I guarantee that it will be so much easier for you to remember
for sure.
Later on.
For sure. Our brain stores those melodies, the rhythms. It just stores all of that and just lights it all up. And just like how people learn, kids learn the 50 States song and our ABCs, there's so many things that can be put to music that our brain will remember. Yes, for sure. Okay, now, do music therapists work with treatment teams? And I can see that you do with
speech therapy, and it kind of goes together. But are there other treatments that a music therapist would work with, like behavioral, ABA, or anything like that related to children?
Yes.
Or even adults?
So music therapists work with physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, ABA. We co-treat with school teachers, work a lot with parents. And then in other settings, they also collaborate with nurses, doctors, psychologists. So they can pretty much collaborate with anyone. And when people think of music therapy, a lot of times they think of music therapy in children, but music therapy can be used from as young as premature infants in the NICU all the way up to end-of-life hospice. So there's just so many uses for it.
Man, NICU.
Yeah.
Drake was a NICU baby for 4 weeks, and it would have been so awesome to see a music therapist there. I wonder, like, what do you do for a baby? Like, how does that work?
So I actually have a friend that did music therapy in a NICU, and it's very interesting. It's just different like pitches to help with like calming, body regulation, but they have to sing very softly. So my friend was telling me that they have to really focus on like keeping their singing voice healthy, because you can't sing certain pitches, you can't sing loud, but it's all about just regulating the baby's heartbeat, the baby's breathing, relaxation. It's really cool.
That's so, oh my gosh, I cannot even imagine how that would be, having somebody come and sing to my baby while he's in his little isolate, or even when they're not. That sounds like, to me, I would have never thought of that. But yes, like you were saying, like in the beginning of this conversation, like how music affects everybody, your humor, your spirits, all of your feelings. It regulates, it helps you regulate. It's I can see how that works with babies too. So and that sounds like an interesting.
It's super interesting. And even going back in history, like there's been so many things about how music is healing, like the ancient Egyptians, discussing how music is healing. And music therapy actually started because of during World War I and World War II, veterans needed musicians to come sing to them to help with like emotional and physical traumas. And then hospitals, the demand just grew so large that they started hiring more and more musicians, and then realized, okay, we need some sort of training for them. So then the music therapy degree was started. And I think it was in 1944. So it's been around for a little bit.
What an amazing history on that too. Now, what are some examples of musical interventions that you use in a music therapy session?
Yes. So we talked about this one a little bit, but I really like making social songbooks. It's super fun, and it's a great way to work on those social pragmatic skills. And so basically we write a song together. I help them write the song. We can use different phrases that we can use, or phrases and sentences, like what can we say if we're feeling mad? And then we have a whole book about how we can handle ourselves when we get upset, meeting a new friend, taking turns. So I love those social stories. And then for fine motor challenges, gross motor challenges, instrument play is amazing to work on grasping, finger dexterity, fine motor skills. And then just like singing in general, really being able to slow it down for client preferred songs, because so many children's music, it's so fast. So it's hard for kids to sing along to that recorded music sometimes. And so I can really slow it down to where it fits where they can sing along. And that's working on articulation, memory, expressive language. So those are probably my most used in here.
So for a kiddo, that has behavioral issues, let's say your kids with meltdowns and tantrums and those type of things, how would you use music therapy, or how would you use what you have to help these kiddos?
So I would say that it kind of depends on the kid, but a lot of times we'll try to do some different exercises that I can give them to use at home, depending on how old they are. So different calming exercises, or we write a little song that they can sing to themselves when they're feeling really upset, or more of those social stories. I've had a lot recently of, we can't hit people. There's other healthy ways that we could do this. And then sometimes instrument play, we just need to get some emotions out, or there's just a lot of sensory stimulation going on and it's just a lot for the kid. So we can dance it out, play instruments, but it definitely depends on the child and what the situation is, because it's sometimes harder because we're seeing, the kid, like I said, for like an hour, 2 hours a week. And this is where they're super happy in here. Like, we're singing, we're playing instruments. So really trying to work on stuff that can be used at home instead of just in music if we get upset. Like, what can we do when we're at home and we get upset, when we're at school when we get upset?
No, some kiddos, they just don't know how to, it's that processing, right? It's the processing of the feelings, of the sensory input. It's the processing of being able to speak to somebody. All of that comes, is within the child. And when music comes in, it lightens people up. Like, if it's a song that they know, or if it's a song that they know that it's going to calm them, that they have practiced that it's going to calm them, then they know that is what's happening right now. Hey, it's time to calm down, or, and so I love that this also helps with those behavioral kids.
I was just going to say, a lot of reasons that I feel like there can be behaviors, and what I've seen is sometimes the inability to express how they're feeling and getting those words out. And I've seen sometimes, like, when they're not being understood and can't articulate it, it causes a lot of frustration. So really focusing on that expressive language and giving them the phrases and sentences that they can use at home when they're feeling upset. Like, instead of, screaming when we're upset or throwing something, we can say, like, I'm upset.
Breaking something.
I need a hug. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Being able to express that and get help from a parent or adult by, I'm upset. I need help.
Yeah. Some of these trying to get it. I remember Drake. Drake didn't speak one word until he was 3 years old, 3.5. And, it was so frustrating to him. And I remember the way that we kind of started with him in, like, speech was with sign language. But sign language, the way that he learned sign language was through music. So we would watch these music, videos that there's somebody there making the sound, milk or thank you. And it's all put to music, and kids just eat that up. They just love it. Anything that has music, they love that. They love the feeling that music, the way that it makes them feel. And then they want to watch it. And then they learn through that music that, hey, there's a sign for this word. There is a sign to ask for milk. And so we use that a lot with Drake. Yeah.
And even speaking of sign language, if someone isn't verbal, we use a lot of AAC devices here. And so we're able to put songs on there, phrases on there throughout music activities that we can use where they're still practicing all of those phrases for expressing their wants and needs throughout music.
That's something else that I did not know that you could do, like AAC with music. What can't you do with music, Jenna?
There's so many things with music. It's great.
It is. And it brings that happiness. It's just that to me, that feeling, that comfort, that is what makes it even better when you have music. And so I love it that you've gone into this, and I love that I have been able to meet you for this, and that we're doing this for Drake. We're able to get it for him. Now, I'm going to go into a couple of questions that I think the parents are going to want to ask. And because of, you think about this, and you think about speech therapy, and you think about ABA therapy, and these are all services that are paid by insurance companies. This is a question that I think a lot of parents are going to have, Jenna. Is music therapy covered by insurance companies? Do they pay on it? Is it a payable? Do they have a CPT code or any of that?
Yes. So some insurance companies cover music therapy. Some insurance companies, we're still trying to kind of fight for why music therapy is important and how it helps people. So it kind of just depends on insurance companies.
Well, I will tell you this, with my kid, with Drake, they do cover it, and it's been awesome because they will cover for the speech therapy session, and then they will cover for music therapy. I don't know how many, of course, as you know, all the parents out there, as you know, some insurance companies cover things that others don't. So this is going to have to be something that you're going to have to go through your insurance company. And if you find a music therapist out there, they will know if it is covered or not. So if you go to a practice in your area, then ask them. But I have a feeling that a lot of these insurance companies, because mine is a pretty big one, it's United Healthcare, and they cover it. So I think that you do have to have a reason for it. But if you have a complex kiddo, I'm almost, it doesn't hurt to ask. And I am pretty sure, Jenna, that there is a specific CPT code, which is the coding that they use for billing music therapy. And so if you want to ask your insurance company, you will need that CPT code. You will call them, you'll give them what your kid's diagnosis is, and then you give them the CPT code, and they will be able to tell you if music therapy is covered or not. So we have been lucky. Go ahead, Jenna.
Sorry. A lot of private practices too that do have music therapy will also contact insurance for you so they can give you kind of your rates and what insurance will pay for. So a lot of places will do that for you too. So you don't have to go through the headache of trying to reach out to your insurance. Yes.
But I'm going to tell you, Jenna, as a mama, I always check because there's always, you guys are going to get one person when you call for the insurance companies, and we're going to get somebody else.
True.
I'm the one, I'm always trying to make sure that I don't have any surprises in the future. So, and this is what I teach a lot of the parents that I work with, is that you need to take it into your own hands to make sure that these things are covered. You're going to have to fight for it. But we have been so lucky to be able to have this, right? And I'm assuming that this goes to different kinds of, it's going to be based on diagnosis also. Now, Jenna, last words of wisdom. What would you like to tell my mamas out there about music therapy?
I think music therapy can help literally anyone. It's just such an amazing thing. And if I could give any advice for even things you can do at home, is spending time with your kid and play some instruments, kind of explore different instruments that they want to play, and even just singing songs at home together is working on that expressive language, that articulation. And I'm also a big supporter of group music classes. I think that's great for social skills and collaboration with other kids, kind of building that independence. So yeah, just keep singing with your kid at home.
I love it. You know what? It just came up another question. Jenna, where do we find music therapists? Do you guys have an association that we can go and look for them in our area?
Yes. So there is a website called amta.org. It's the American Music Therapy Association. And they have a list of music therapists, states, cities, and then also like even just going on Google in different cities. There's a good amount of music therapists in Orange County, LA County.
But then you can look at the website and see who it is and where they are and who they are, and you can contact them that way. Jenna, if people have questions, if my people that are listening, my listeners, if they have questions about music therapy, where do they find you?
So I am on the website smalltalkoc.com, and then my email will be on there. So if anyone ever has any questions about music therapy, some ideas you can do at home, feel free to reach out whenever.
Thank you. All her information is going to be on there on the notes for the podcast. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to Jenna. She is awesome. We love her. Drake loves her. And so I know that you will love her too. And go find a music therapist for your child. I will see you guys next time. Thanks, Jenna, for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's it for today's episode of Complex Kids Simple Solutions. If you found this helpful, please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our future episodes. And if you're looking for more support, join our Thrive group on Facebook, where we dive deeper and connect with other parents. For more information, be sure to visit www.wisdom4complexkids.com. Or you can also reach me at www.michelleshoaidi.com. Remember, you are doing an amazing job. Take it one step at a time, and I will see you next time. You are your child's hero.